We play and call it work.
Hey there guys, Quirk here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you another episode of Queued for Battle, or The Breakdown. I'm not sure which title we're going to be using for this right now, but without further ado, we're here with Laurent today.
Hi guys.
And we're going to be playing a 2,000 point game. I'm going to be bringing some Chaos Space Marines, and you're bringing...
Sayman. Craftworld Eldar.
Alright, so we got some Eldar coming in here. Again guys, we're going to be doing a full breakdown of the army, so we're going to go through all the units, figuring out what they do, how they work, and what they're going to be doing in the game. To kind of mix things up a little bit, and because we're getting very, very close to the Nova Open, we're going to be using the Nova Open mission package from last year, and we're going to be doing the missions as per that premiere itself. So, following mission number 1, going through that, going ahead and picking the secondaries the way you would there, and I'm also going to give you a little bit of a breakdown on how this bracket works and how our armies will be functioning to accommodate the tournament pack that we're using. But without further ado, let's start this breakdown with Laurent's...
Sayman. Craftworld Eldar.
All right, we're starting with that. So, starting off this list breakdown, we're going to take a look at your Craftworld Eldar, and it's the...
Sayman. Craftworld.
Alright, so that's going to be the Wild Host. By being part of this Craftworld, you get the ability to reroll failed charge rolls for units with this attribute, and in addition, bike units with this attribute do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for moving and firing heavy weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
That is really, really good, especially when you consider how many heavy weapons you've got in this list. Now, without getting into too much detail right off the hop, what is actually in this list?
Okay, so first for detachment you have 1 battalion, 1 Outrider, and 1, I think it's air superiority or air wing, like the one with 3 flyers.
Okay.
So we'll start with the battalion. So you have first for HQs you have my Farseer, who has the classic outlaws, that means the bikes, Shining Spears, Doom Guide. Okay, basic, the buffer for the whole army. After you have 2 Warlock Skyrunners with Shining Spears also, one with Conceal Reveal, just to give you less chance to hit my guys, and the other one with a Quicken Restraint, which is for all my shenanigans. What Sayman are really good for. After for troops you have 2 units of Rangers. The Rangers are here mainly for counter deployment, board control, etc. All these kind of shenanigans. They are good snipers, but I don't used to rely on that to kill characters. They are more here, for example, to counter your Alpha Legion, for example, to forbid some parts of the board and so on. After I have 20 Guardians, who are here to basically deep strike and shoot things, because stat-wise they do pretty good amount of damage. They can get rid of something like 10 Space Marines or 30 Orc Boys if you have the right buff on them. So they're really versatile. They're here to jump on the board and kill the big threat at that time. To finish, I have 7 Dark Reapers, because you cannot play Eldars if you don't bring Dark Reapers.
You definitely need Dark Reapers.
No special equipment on the Exarch, because Reaper Launcher is pretty good by itself. 2 shot, strength 5, AP minus 2 damage to kill Space Marines and ish. And a good anti-tank option with the single shot, strength 8, AP minus 2 damage. After, for the air superiority, so 3 flyers, 2 Hemlock with the same psychic power from both, which is Jinx, just to give me an extra help to kill that special nasty unit you can bring against me. And well, they are Hemlocks, don't need to say more. No. Everybody know them. They are really great to assassinate characters, to give some leadership debuff, etc. They're really versatile. The only downside is that they have to get close to the unit, and when I see your army, that will be a problem, I think. So because they come close, so they come close to all your weapons, basically. That's why I bring with them Christmas Hunter Exarch, who is mostly my anti-tank choice. Really good at tracking down and killing vehicles, monsters, and tough targets, and also flyers also, because he has a special ability that he will roll 2 wounds against units that fly, so he's really good at his jobs. And finally, the best part is the Outrider, the typical Sayman stuff. So 3 units of bikes with scatter lasers, because they don't suffer the penalty for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So that's why compared to other Craftworld, you can choose scatter lasers over shuriken cannons. So they are my good all-around units. They're here to kill light infantries, to take objectives, to be sacrificed sometimes to slow them here and there. They're really good at all-around purpose. With them I have an Autarch, which is my warlord, so he's on jet bikes. He has no valence of Sayman, which is a special relic, which makes him a little better than a normal Shining Spears Exart, but he's all by himself, so of course, and he's an Eldar, so he will not make miracles in close combat, but it's good to kill that nasty characters that can drop in my lines and stuff. He's good for that, to protect my gun line mainly. That's why also I give him as warlord traits an eye on distant event. That means you cannot overwatch when he charge, because otherwise he would just die before doing everything. And a unit of 7 Shining Spears. Why Shining Spears? Because Sayman has this specific stratagem, Warriors of the Raging Wing. We give for 1 CP, they can advance and charge, and reroll 1 to hit in the following fight phase. So I think everybody sees a combo here with Quicken, because that means they move something like 44 inches, charge something, reroll 1 to hit. They are very good in close combat to hit tough units with their lance. They have good shootings also, so they can really mess up with your opponent. The only difficulty with them is to define the size of the unit. Mm-hmm. Before I was used to play them by 5, but 5 is just enough to do the job, and if you're unlucky and you lose 1 or 2 in previous turn or in Overwatch, finally they don't do the job. And it's really a glass cannon unit. It's you throw them away, they destroy everything, and after they die because your opponent will of course get revenge on them. By 7, even if you don't have the first turn, there are good chance that they are still going to survive, and you will still have enough models to do the job.
Yeah. All right. So it's a good breakdown of the opening list. Go ahead and take a look at the individual units and how they're going to function towards the actual tournament themselves, or sorry, the tournament matchup themselves, and start to figure out how these combos are going to start working together. Alright, starting off, we're going to take a look at one of the HQs that you have in your battalion. We've got the Farseer Skyrunner, and doing a quick overview on the stats, he's got a lot of the bikes, pretty much all your bikes are going to have this movement stat. Basically, it's a 16-inch move. The Farseer has a weapon skill, bliss skill of 2+, strength 3, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 9, and a 4+ save. It has Ancient Doom, which actually might come into play because I do have some Slanesh units.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something that we don't get to see very often. So, Ancient Doom allows you to reroll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for units on a turn in which you charge or are charged by a Slanesh unit. However, you must add 1 to the morale test for units that are within 3 inches of any Slanesh unit. So, it's kind of a bit of a buff, bit of a downside.
Yeah, but the leadership is never really a big matter in Eldar, especially in that list, which is a lot of MSU, in fact, multiple small units. So when it's time to get a leadership test, they're almost already dead. So but the reroll to hit on the first round of each combat is really
super good,
especially for the Shining Spears, for example.
Yeah, and since most of my army is already Slanesh, I think actually all of it is Slanesh. You're gonna get that on everybody, which is really, really good right there. You have the Ghost Helm, which is whenever you suffer a mortal wound, you have a 5+ to ignore that wound, but if it's from a psychic test, it's on a 2+, you get to ignore it. You have Runes of the Farseer, where in each of your psychic phases, you can reroll any number of dice used to attempt to manifest or deny psychic power, but you're only able to do that once.
Yeah, but it's on every psychic phase, so it also works when I try to deny.
Yes.
Which is really good.
Yep. And then finally, you have the ability called Ride the Wind. Now, all your bikes have this ability as well, where you get to add 6 inches to the move characteristic. So essentially, your bikes are able to go 22 inches, which is ridiculous. Now, you went ahead and gave it the Shining Spears. Yep, so he's got the Shining Spear. It has a melee trait, which is Strength 3, AP nothing, D3 damage, but it always wounds on a 2+. And then for shooting, it's Strength 9, AP nothing, D3 damage, but again, it always wounds on a 2+.
Yeah, the Shining Spears is not an optimized option, but it's just roll of cool.
It's really cool. It's also
5 points. If you can do it, do it. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Also with that D3 damage, it's almost always an auto include.
But you have the same with the Witchblade. It's just that you cannot throw it.
That's true.
It's just for close combat. And of course, the Farseer will nearly never go in close combat.
No, definitely not. And then the bike itself has the twin shuriken catapult, which is a assault 4, range 12, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but every time you roll a wound roll of 6+, it's resolved at AP -3 instead of nothing. So kind of cool right there. He is a Psyker, and you said you gave him the 2 powers of...
Guide and Doom. So Guide is Warp Charge 7, 24 inches. I select one of my unit, they can reroll fail to hit. In shooting only.
Yep.
Not in close combat. And Doom, it's also Warp Charge 7, 24 inches. I target an enemy unit and all my army can reroll to wound against them, but in shooting and close combat.
Yeah, so essentially the Farseer is designed to fly around the board, get these psychic powers off, and make it so that you're going to just eliminate a unit a turn because you're getting your rerolls.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that's one of the key points when you play Eldar is that you have to select at least 1 or 2 units in your enemy, in your opponent list that you want to kill that turn. And this guy is here for that. That means I want this unit dead by using that unit, that Eldar unit to shoot at it.
Yeah. Does a really good 1-2 combo when you kind of trigger it along with the Dark Reapers, because that way you're getting your 3s to hit, re-rolling, probably wounding on 3s, re-rolling depending on what you're shooting at, and they're just going to kind of cut through whatever they work, whatever you need them to. Really good model to have when you consider some of the secondary objectives, including one of the ones that you picked, is a objective called First Strike, where you have to eliminate a enemy unit on the first turn.
Yeah.
So having those 2 powers, getting it off on the target unit that you want to, definitely gives you a better chance of making sure that you're going to eliminate that unit and score those 2 points.
Yeah, because 3+ rollable, you are something like 80% chance to hit and the same to wounds. So that's more than 70% damage.
Yes. And if you get the first turn, that means if you're firing at, say, my cultists, I'm not going to get anything to kind of protect them off.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to wipe them out, which is really, really good right there. So Farseer, Skyrunner, pretty much an auto include in this army, especially when you consider the 1-2 combo with the movement that it has, the spells he can cast, and the fact that he is a character, so he's going to be able to use plot armor. That whole characters can't be targeted to keep him alive, especially when you
also,
consider...
he's kind of resilient also because toughness 4, 6 wounds, he has a 4+ invulnerable save, 5+ invulnerable save against might, so it's not easy to kill.
No, definitely not. And again, when you're going to have the flyers jump around the board too, it's a nice way to kind of mitigate my ability to shoot at them, because your flyers are definitely going to be up in my face a lot faster than he is. So very, very good right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next unit. Following the Farseer Skyrunner, we've got a Warlock Skyrunner. Now you've got 2 of them in this list. And again, they have a very similar profile to the Warlock. Again, 16-inch movement, able to automatically go 22 inches thanks to Ride the Wind. Weapon skill, bliss skill 3+, strength of 3, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 4+ save. You also have the 4-up invuln thanks to rune armor. You also have Doom, or probably Ancient Doom, as well as battle focus. I actually don't think I mentioned what battle focus was, but I'll just say that really quickly, that if a unit advances the movement phase, excluding heavy weapons, it treats it as if it remains stationary. So very, very cool to kind of get those assault weapons wherever you need to.
Especially with the shuriken catapult. The jetbacks come with.
Yep. And then you've also got your destructive ability, where when you manifest Smite, it has a range of 9, and it only deals a single mortal wound. So those are kind of the things for the Warlock himself. Weapons that you gave him, I believe you said you gave him the Shining Spear as well, following that rule of cool. And then you also got the 2 twin shuriken catapults. Now, he is also a Psyker. Now, what powers did you give the 2?
Alors, that model, specifically, I gave him the Quicken Restrain. So, let me get it. So, Quicken is Warp Charge 7, like nearly all the psychic powers from Eldars. 18-inch range. It's a Warlock, so the Warlock psychic power always have 2 effects that you have to select. So you have 1 buff and 1 debuff. So the buff is Quicken, which means that I select one of my units within 18 inches and they can move again. So it's basically warp time, like people used to see for Chaos, but 18 inches instead of 3.
Yes, so it's a very far you get to move again, which is really, really nice right there.
So it's really good to make a unit to jump in your opponent face or to withdraw one of your units also.
And then on top of that, you've also got Restrain, which is another 18-inch range psychic power. Goes off on a 7, but you target an enemy model with this, or probably enemy unit with this, and it halves that movement characteristic until the end of the next psychic phase.
Yeah, they have it. So it's more situational, but
Yeah.
Sometimes it's handy.
It can be very handy when you look at things like Demon Princes, for example, which I have now. I'm spending the points to make them movement 12. The idea is that they can move very, very quickly, get around the board. If you get that off on a Demon Prince, suddenly I'm only movement 6. That half movement is
You can
really
save
bad.
a turn before being charged. That's mean one extra shooting phase, which can for Eldars is.
It's
a
very,
big deal.
very
It's a big
important to
deal.
have that. So.
Yeah. And the second one has a Conceal Reveal, which is first power people used to pick because it's really good. It's a Warp Charge 6. Conceal for Conceal, I select one of my unit within 18 inches, which is infantry or bikes only. You cannot cast it on vehicles. And in fact, you subtract 1 to hit me.
Yep.
And Reveal is I choose an enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, and it does not gain any bonus for its saving throw
From cover.
For cover, yeah.
Yep. So the conceal just kind of adds on to your ability to make it really, really difficult to hit you. Thankfully, you can't put it on your Hemlocks or your Crimson Hunter, because then I don't want to have to deal with a -2 to hit them.
Yeah.
But if you were to, say, for example, put them on your Rangers, it makes them -2 to hit.
Yeah.
If they were to be Alitalk or Fieldcraft, it would make them -3 to hit. But you didn't. You went with the.
You lose friend by doing that.
You do. You do. So thank you very much for not doing that.
No.
It's still going to be very, very difficult. For example, if I choose to do one of my secondaries as I want to kill this unit, it's going to give you more chances to kind of protect that unit by saying, okay, well, in that case, I'm going to make them now -1 to hit from all shooting. You got other powers available to you, but the big one right there is.
And you have also some stratagems like the lightning reflexes for 2 CP that give you an extra -1 to hit.
Yep.
So in that army, I can accumulate it and can get a -2 on normal unit and -3 on the Rangers.
Yes.
Which is already
really good. So there's a couple of things that I have that are normally Ballistic Skill 3. If I have anything Ballistic Skill 4, you have the ability to completely just make it I can't shoot that unit. And the way timing works in the game is I would have to declare that my unit that's going to be shooting at this unit that's -2 or -3, you can declare after I've declared the target unit that you want to trigger lightning reflexes, and now all the shooting from that unit is a moot point because it's just automatically going to miss. So very, very handy right there. Another good unit to have, super, super fast character, so he's going to be protected by other models in the way, has that kind of plot armor keeping him alive, and just a really, really good support caster to have flying around the board.
Especially that compared to Farther, they have only 3 wounds. So if you have the opportunity to shoot at them, most of the time they die.
That makes sense. So, but yeah,
You must protect them well.
Very, very good to have some Warlocks on the board. They definitely have some powers that are going to be very useful. Moving on now, we're going to take a look at your troop choices, starting off with the Rangers. We've got Rangers, everybody. Now, if you've ever seen any of my previous breakdown videos or things like that, you've seen me talk about Rangers. I am a huge fan of these models here. Just a quick revamp on their stats. They have movement characteristic of 7, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 5+ armor save. But because they also have the chameleon cloaks, they get +2 instead of +1 when they're hiding in cover. So they actually have a 3-up armor save if they're hiding in cover, which is very, very handy right there. Also, the second ability that a chameleon cloak provides is your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls that for all their ranged weapons. So you just naturally have a -1 to hit. They come with the Shuriken pistol, which is just a 12-inch range pistol, 1, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but if you roll a 6 to wound, it's -3. And then they have the Ranger long rifle. Whew. It's a 36-inch range, heavy 1, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, but you can target characters with this, and if you roll a 6 to wound with this weapon, it causes a mortal wound in addition to all the damage it does. So, definitely very, very handy right there. Now, your SEP, does this make it so that you can move with them and ignore the heavy penalty, or is that just for your bikes?
No, it's only for the bikes. So, why I include 2 units in that army, it's for all the deployment shenanigans you can do.
Yes, they do have an ability here called Appear Unbidden. So, during deployment, you can set up this unit walking the winded paths of the webway. Set a place on the battlefield at the start of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins, this unit can emerge from the webway, set up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy models. 2 things that are really cool about this. 1, it happens before the first turn starts, so you're going to get to know who's going to actually go first. And the second benefit to it is it's still before the first turn begins, so the rules of deep striking onto the board in your own deployment zone turn 1 do not apply. You're able to go wherever you want, which is super, super handy.
So also, I don't always infiltrate them because, in fact, for me, they are here to. If I infiltrate them, it's to sit on an objective I don't want to deal with for the rest of the game. For example, if I want to focus on that side of the board, other side it's not so interesting because full of cover or whatever, I put rangers in that, they will sit for the whole game and they will score. The other purpose is that they're cheap. They're 60 points for 5 models. So you can also just deploy them in your deployment zone to push further away your opponent infiltrators, like especially in that situation for Alpha Legion. So I can put a big gap between them and the rest of my army, so you cannot make your shenanigans. That means you infiltrate, you have first turn, you charge me right away, end of the game. No, you will charge 5 rangers. So I sacrifice 60 points to save all the rest of my army. So they're really good for that. The sniper ability, we say okay, they can target characters, but most of characters you will need 3 or 4 shooting phase with 5 rangers to kill them, so you cannot rely on that. But they are really good to remove that last wound, especially on a vehicle or a monster. You know, you have your, I don't know, I have my Chrisman Hunter who shoot at your Eldrex, for example. You have only 1 or 2 wounds left. I say, what do? I shoot with my Hemlock on it? It's overkill. No, I will shoot first with my rangers and pray for these 1 or 2 sixes to get the mortal wound and get him down. So they're really good, what we used to say, finishers.
Yes.
You know?
They're very good at cleaning up the last couple wounds on the model, which is very handy there. On top of that, it's not that it's every 6+2 wound is a mortal wound instead of damage, it's in addition. So you're still going to force your opponent to make those rolls and have to suffer the mortal wound. So it's very, very handy to have that right there. All in all, there's not a whole lot I can say about Rangers. We've seen them a dozen times. We know kind of how they work. We know where they go, what they do. They can be used for different things, and I'm sure this game we will see them being used for something aside from just getting you those objectives or getting into your opponent's deployment zone. We're actually probably going to see them being used to counter my infiltrators. Exactly. So we'll talk about that when we get a chance to look at my list. But now that we're done with the Rangers, let's go ahead and take a look at your Guardians.
Guardians, yeah.
Alrighty. Following the Rangers, we've got some Guardian Defenders. Now, you don't have a heavy weapons platform in this unit, correct? No. Okay, so that's going to save us a little bit of talking about stuff here. But the Guardians themselves have, it again, 7-inch move, 3+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 5+ save. They are identical stat line to the Rangers, which is quite nice right there. They still have the Ancient Doom and Battle Focus, and then they have a special ability here called Crude Weapon, but that only applies if you have the heavy weapons platform. So we're not even going to bother getting into that too much here. You do have a bunch of, is it shuriken cannons for all of them?
Shuriken catapults.
Shuriken catapults, I apologize. So it's a 12-inch range, assault 2, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. But again, with everything we've seen from the shuriken, every time you roll a 6+2 wound, it's resolved at AP -3 instead of 0, which is kind of nice right there. And on top of that, you've also got some plasma grenades, which is a 6-inch range, grenade D6, strength 4, AP -1, and 1 damage. What is the main reason that you brought this unit?
No, in fact, they are my hard hitter, which is funny to say for a troop choice and just Guardians. But there are 20 of them, so they can unload 40 shots. 40 shots, strength 4, no AP, damage 1, so which is already really good to deal with holds. But with a 6 to wound, it's AP -3. So they are really a good threat against Terminators, Space Marines, all armored targets. Especially that I play them with the stratagem Webway Portal, which means that I will make them deep strike. So they deep strike somewhere and hit. With the Farseer we saw just before, put guide on them, doom on their target, they will just slaughter what you want them to slaughter. The only difficulty is that there are 20 models, so sometimes to deep strike within 9 inches away from your opponent and stay within the 12 inches of their range could be tricky depending on the board. But with experience you can do it quite easily. After also they are really good. In fact, it's not a slow ball unit. That means not they come, they kill something, and they die, because they have a lot of tricks to do with them. They first have a stratagem called Celestian Shield, that you can use only on Guardians, that give them a 4+ invulnerable save instead of their 5+ for 1 CP. So they get a 4+ invulnerable save. You imagine when you deep strike them, you cast Conceal on them, so -1 to hit. You use lightning reflexes for 2 CPs, so -2 to hit, and suddenly you have a unit that have a 4+ invulnerable save and -2 to hit. Some people also play them with another power that's protect, give them +1 to their save, so you get theoretically a 3+ invulnerable save. So they can become really resilient if you want them.
Yes.
And also, because they have battle focus, they are quite fast. They move 7, run advance d6. You have a stratagem in Eldar to make an automatic 6, so that means 13 inches. And they have no penalty to shoot assault weapon, so they still unload all their shots at 12 inches. So they're very good, to kill not a character. It's not assassination. It's mostly to remove a big chunk of your army, and they can hold the ground and they can after score.
So it's one of the things to kind of note with this is that it's not something you can do with all units of Guardians, because you're going to be using a lot of stratagems, a lot of psychic powers to make them a very killy unit. So instead of having 2 units of 10 and kind of buffing them both up individually, you need to have one big unit of them, so that the way you get the benefit of the stratagems, you're going to get the benefit of the psychic powers, you're going to be able to deep strike them and not waste all your command points on that deep strike. And on top of all of that, they're also going to be just destroying whatever it is that you need to destroy them with. And then they have the -2 to hit when you're trying to shoot back at them, and the 3+ invulnerable save means a majority of the shots that are going to be fired aren't going to hit. They're toughness 3, so most of the shots are going to be wounding on, on 3s, maybe 2s, depending on what I'm firing with. And then the real kicker there is that everything I fire, only 1/3 of them are actually going to go through and do some damage. So it's going to be a very tough unit to deal with. It's not something you typically see with Guardians. Most of the time when people play Guardians, they kind of just use them as a slot filler to, I don't have enough Rangers, I'm going to bring in some Guardians because they're helpful. They usually will go ahead and bring the artillery piece because, that's what's really going to do a lot of damage with them. But when you consider the stratagems that are available to you and the psychic powers, this unit becomes an absolute killing machine, so it's terrifying.
In fact, initially the tactic Eldar player use when they play the Ulsway, I don't know. Ulsway Craftworld, because they have a special stratagem for them for 1 CP that give them +1 to it, so they don't choose. But I found out that whatever the Craftworld you play, they're really good. Just look at the stats. It's 160 points for these 20 guys,
something like that,
and they can kill. I already killed something like 300 points with them when they arrive. So. But after, what people start to understand is that this army is really greedy on command points. So that's why I have the battalion and 2 extra detachment to go up to 10, because I will use a lot of command points in the first turns.
But that's one of the things we're going to notice with this army is that you're going to be using a lot of command points right off the hop at the beginning. You're going to be burning through them, but as you're burning through them, you're eliminating things from my army that I'm going to really need and that are going to hit you back really hard. So even though you kind of have that first and second turn really hard like alpha hit, even if you burn through all your command points, it doesn't matter, because what I'm going to come back at you with, you don't need command points to deal with.
It's Eldar, after all, it's an Eldar army, so my main turns will be turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3. After turn 3, the attrition game starts. And Eldar always lose at attrition, so I have to do the job before that.
Absolutely. Alright, so now we've seen the Guardians. Let's go on to one of my most hated units when I play tournaments, the Dark Reapers. Next up we have your heavy support, the Dark Reapers. Now, a little bit weird to kind of see here, but your Dark Reapers only have a movement characteristic of 6, but that makes sense considering they're toting around these gigantic heavy weapons. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 8, and a 3+ armor save. Now you said you went ahead and gave all of them the Reaper launchers? Okay. So the Reaper launcher has 2 different firing modes. They're both 48-inch range. One of them is heavy 1, strength 8, -2, and 3 damage, which is ridiculous when you consider the fact that you're going to be able to get things like Doom and Guide off and make it so that pretty much all 7 of these shots are most likely going to hit and probably going to wound. So it's going to be a good way for you to tear through some of my bigger characters or my bigger monsters or things like that. The other firing mode that you have is called the Star Swarm Missile, and it's a heavy 2, strength 5, -2, 2 damage apiece. Again, you're going to get 14 shots out of this unit with that.
Primarily Space Marine killers.
It is. That is designed to kill Space Marines. If it was to hit a Space Marine, it'd be hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, reducing their armor save to a 5+, and if it was a Primaris Marine, each one that's failed is still going to kill a Marine because they're 2 damage apiece. Some of the neat things about this unit is that it has an ability called Crack Shot, where your Dark Exarch can re-roll failed hit rolls of 1, which is quite nice. When you don't want to put Guide on them, it's it comes in handy there. But even though you're probably going to get in Guide, that's going to make that ability a bit of a moot point, but it's still handy. But the real thing that's nice about Dark Reapers is that they have inescapable accuracy. I hate this and love this ability so very much, where models in this unit always hit on 3+ when firing ranged weapons in the shooting phase, regardless of any modifiers.
Yeah, so that means you cannot buff them, but you cannot debuff them.
That's correct. And because there's so many debuffs out there compared to buffs, that it's just really, really good right there. So they are very, very good at dealing with Fieldcraft, Altiok, Eldar lists. They're super good at dealing with Alpha Legion.
Yeah, because they just cancel your signature capacity.
Yep. So they're just super, super good at that. Now, I'm assuming what you're going to be doing with these guys are mostly using them with the Farseer to get the rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound.
There are several tricks with the Farseer on them. First, I always put them on the wave way also. Even that they will always be deployed on my deployment zone. So because I need them turn 1, so I will deep strike them on my deployment zone for sure. But why I put them on the way to avoid you having the first turn and slaughtering them right away.
That's true.
So most of the time I do that. When I don't do it is that when I have a really big buildings with no line of sight around and I can hide them here. Except if you play like Astronomy Tournament, so when you have mortars and stuff. But most of the time, if we want to prevent losing them turn 1, I prefer to put them on deep strike. After, there are 2 things that goes with them. First, with the Farseer, like I said, to buff them, but he also has a stratagem. Let me check. It's well, I forgot the name, but anyway, that's when you deep strike one of your units. If my Farseer is within 6 inches of them, they can intercept.
Yep, that is. Oh, I know which one this is too. Oh, it's gone. I can't remember.
It's let me check. Well, anyway, we will find it.
You look for it. I'll try. Or yeah, you go ahead and talk. I'll try and.
Okay,
find
so that's really good to prevent some deep strike. Like for example, imagine you obliterators. They come in line of sight of them. You get 7 shots. Strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage during your turn, before you can do anything. Before you can buff them or debuff them whatsoever. So that's really great.
Oh, found it. 2 command points for forewarned.
Forward, yeah.
Yes.
So, well, that restricts the movement of my Farseer, but anyway, the range of these spells are 24 inches. So that's not a big deal, especially for turn 1, turn 2. So 2 other things I can do with them, it's first put cancel of them, of course, because they will be in the range, so 2+ save, thanks to cover. -1 to be hit is nice. But there's another trick that I really like, depending on the scenery, is fire and fade. For 1 CP, after they fire, they move 7 inches. And they don't have the penalty to move and shoot with heavy weapon, because they have their accuracy rule. So when you have a building or a scenery you can hide behind with no way for your opponent to get line of sight. In fact, you move your 6, you shoot, and you go back in cover.
Yep.
So like old 7th edition trick, but with Dark Reapers instead of jetpacks, which is really, really strong.
Another trick that people used to do with that is you're able to actually give, I believe it was if you had Yanari with them before they went ahead and changed everything. One of the things you could do is actually have this unit fire once in the psychic phase. After it moved, fire again in the shooting phase with all the buffs.
It was Phoenix stuff.
Something
power,
like that.
Psychic power, the special one.
And then you would go ahead and fire off the fire and fade, which allows them to move, and then they could go ahead and jump back into a transport. Now the thing is, with your transports, some of the abilities you could do was giving it -1 to hit when it advances and +1 to its armor save and things like that. So now you've got all these Dark Reapers hiding in a transport where they can't be targeted after they've just fired twice, rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound. So it's a very, very, very annoying trick. I'm quite happy that they went ahead and fixed that so it doesn't work anymore.
Something to notice is that they don't have the what's the name? The battle focus.
No.
So it's not useful with them because they have heavy weapon.
Yep.
But
the inescapable accuracy is really, really good at modifying a lot of stuff right there. Now the battle focus wouldn't have worked because it excludes heavy weapons, and these are technically heavy weapons, but you are still able to move with them and ignore the -1 for moving and firing. You're not able to advance and fire with them though, because the heavy weapon will shut that down.
It would be neat.
That would be so annoying if you
They're still good enough.
Yeah.
Already. So no need for more.
No. Very, very, very effective unit. Super good at killing pretty much anything you need them to. Tons of different tricks you can do with them. I like where you're going with the tricks for this Craftworld. We're going to now move on from the battalion to your flying detachment? I forget what those
Yeah,
are called.
it's what? Is it air superiority or air wing?
Yes, air superiority detachment. I'm totally hoping that's what it's called. Starting off your air superiority detachment, we've got one of my personal favorite models that I've failed to LED and paint so many times, but it is the Hemlock Wraithfighter. This guy has a degrading movement characteristic. Now the nice thing about this is that it's the only thing that actually degrades on this model. It starts off with a 20 to 60 inch move. For the most part, you're going to be using just the 20 inch move because you kind of...
a little more between 20 to 30, it's enough.
Yeah, so that's perfect for you. It goes from 20 to 60 and then it degrades to 40 and 25, but you'll be fine for most of that.
Yeah, so even on the lowest bracket,
you're still fine.
It's still enough.
It's definitely enough right there. Your weapon skill is 6+. You don't really want to fight with this thing anyway, so that's not something you want to worry about, but you also have a ballistic skill of 3+, which really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. Strength and toughness 6, 12 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. The weapons that it has 2 heavy D sights. Now these are range 16, which means even with your minimum movement, you have a 36-inch threat range. Kind of scary, but it's assault D3, strength 12, -4, 2 damage apiece. So
even in cover, you don't care.
No. So if you're firing at something that has a 3+ save, it doesn't get a save. If it has a 2+ save, it's relying on a 6+. It's mostly just designed to kill whatever you want to. Nice little ability of this weapon is that it automatically hits, so that's why we don't care about ballistic skill 3+.
In fact, the only random part is a D3 shot compared to a normal flamer, which is D6. But fortunately, it's only D3.
Nice thing about it is that you actually have 2 D3, so even if you are firing it like it's a D6, you're guaranteed to at least get 2 hits on that. But getting the 6 can be a little bit trickier. Actually, I think you have a better chance of getting a 6, wouldn't you? Because then it's a 30, 30, 30,
But the average is a little more. Instead of 3.5, you have a 4-point-ish average number of shots, which is good. Which is good because 4 shots, yes, strength 12, so you will wound nearly everything except big vehicles on 2+.
Yep. Special abilities that this thing has, one of the biggest ones that it has right now is Wings of Cain. Oh, I wish all flyers had this. So normally when you use a flyer, it has to pivot pivot at least 90 degrees and then fly.
Up to 90 degrees.
Up to 90 degrees, sorry. The Hemlock Wraithfighter can pivot up to 90 degrees, move, and then pivot another 90 degrees. So you can basically go back and forth on the battlefield without...
In fact, you don't have to worry about crash and burn because you cannot stay on the table.
Yep.
What is the main problem with all the other flyers and why they are predictable?
Yep.
When you know when you used to face flyers, you know where they will go, and there are people who do some, I think, like putting a lot of cultists in that area, or so that means you cannot put the base, or putting all your heavy weapons looking that way. So you know it will come here. We will gun him down.
Yes.
With Eldar, because they can move again at the end of the move, they can turn at the end of the movement. Except if you really do something stupid things like put him in the corner.
Yeah.
Except that you have no chance he will crush him down.
Exactly. But one of the nice things about the Hemlock is that it's very good at going back and forth on a battlefield because it has essentially 180 degrees to turn.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very good at staying where you need it to be. It also has Spirit Stone, so every time you suffer a wound or mortal wound, you roll a die, and on a 6, that wound is ignored. It has Hard to Hit, where your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls that target this model in the shooting phase. So I'm going to have to try and get something that can fly in melee with you. Defense. Has a Mind Shock pod, where units must subtract 2 from their leadership characteristic while they're within 12 inches of the Hemlock Wraithfighter. Came into play actually the last video I did, which is something that never really happens, but it was actually quite nice to see the actual -2 to leadership come into play. Really, really cool right there.
But that's really handy. Something we have to specify is that it doesn't cumulate. It's not because I have 2 Hemlock that you have -4. It's only -2. Yeah. But it's really, it doesn't look good on that model specifically because when you see the weapons, is here to kill big stuff.
Yes.
Or characters, because he flies, so if you don't protect your characters well, I will put the base in a way that your character is the closest weapon and just hammer him. Because it's a Psycho also, we'll discuss about it later, so we can smite and shoot. So it's okay, it's here to destroy things, so why to bother with the moral? But in synergy with other units, like my bikes, for example, we are more here to shoot light infantries. And most of the time, light infantry, they are here to serve, to protect something, like a vehicle or character. So the Hemlock is here to kill the monster, what the light infantry protect, and help the bikes to get rid of the infantry thanks to the extra -2 leadership.
Yep.
So it's also another time a synergy here.
It is, and it works very, very well with one another. Two things just really quickly to note for it. It does have crash and burn, so when it is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before moving from the battlefield. On a 6, everything within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds, so it will crash and burn. And it's also airborne, so it can't actually be charged by anything without the fly keyword, which is quite nice right there. Yeah. Neat thing about the Hemlock Wraithfighter, it is piloted by a psyker. It is just psychic. It's psychic. Yeah. It's crazy.
Warlock.
It is a warlock.
It's
So this model can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in each psychic phase, and it knows one of the runes, I believe. Is it the runes of battle? But it can only ever know the second ability from the runes of battle.
So the offensive one. Yes. It cannot get the defensive. Fortunately,
Thank
otherwise they would get conceal, protect. They would be
all these crazy things. Now you said you went ahead and put Jinx on both. Of them?
That's the obvious choice because all the others are minus leadership or remove cover. Jinx is good all over because Jinx is a warp charge 7. I target an enemy unit within 18 inches, and this unit subtract 1 to all their save roll. It's all their save rolls. So for example, on Terminators, who have a 2+ save, 5+ invulnerable save, suddenly you have a 3+ armor save and 6+ invulnerable.
Yep.
So that's really good to tone down a very tanky unit and be able to clean them easier. Most of the time I use that when I want to help my army to kill something. Or if I have no specific purpose for that turn, I just smite.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have any way of mitigating the smite debuff, where every time you smite, it gets harder and harder and harder. But it is nice to kind of have that option to fly up really, really close, get the model closest to the Hemlock, fire off a smite, and then next fire off a Jinx so that the model has a minus to a
the
save.
smite nerf is not a problem in Eldar because most of the time Pharisee and Warlock will cast their support powers.
Yes.
They're not here for smite, especially the Warlock. They have a very toned down smite, only 1 mortal wound at 9. Yeah. So the only one we will smite are the Hemlock. So maximum I will do 2 smite a turn.
Yep. And at that point you're only looking for 5s and then 6s.
Also something some people used to forget about Hemlock is that because they're psychers, they can also deny. And my other psychers used to stay on my deployment zone. When they move forward. So I can also put them in a way to dispel the power of your psychers you keep intentionally behind your lines to not be dispelled. Like for example, orcs.
With the jump?
The jump.
Yep.
You always put them as far as possible, as further away as possible. Yep. I know you have an Hemlock who come there to try to deny. It's not 100% chance, but
it's still a chance.
Yeah,
it's better to have that roll to give you some sort of a chance to beat your opponent's 2d6 roll.
You can change the game if you're lucky enough.
Absolutely. So very, very cool to have them right there. Also a large base model, so it's very easy to draw a line of sight from that model, and it's also super easy to get that bubble out because you've already got the 120mm oval base to spread out along the board. Really, really cool right there. All in all, very, very happy with this model. Its utilities are just abundant.
What people hate that guy is because he's as efficient when he's full wounds and when he has only 1 wound left. It doesn't downgrade, so and he has a spirit stone that will always deny 1 or 2 wounds. So if you want to get rid of him, you have to kill him up to the last wound, which is not easy because he's a flyer. So
where most things have some sort of a degrading profile where it's hard to hit or whatever, they actually, Games Workshop thought this through and said, you know what, the only thing that's going to degrade on this is its movement, and a mediocre Eldar player will still be able to navigate this flyer around properly because you do have that extra 90 degrees to pivot around.
I agree they should find something to downgrade maybe the fire power in one way or another. Will not be, people will still use it because it's a really good toolbox, but right now it's not.
Nope. So it's a very, very good model. It's going to be a pain for me to deal with because you do have that natural hard to hit for being a flyer. And it also can benefit from lightning reflexes if I decide to target it. Now, it's also one of those models that you can fly right
no, lightning reflexes, you can... I'm not sure you can do it on...
pretty sure you
No, it's infantry can fly.
Yep.
Has
to
fly.
I'm pretty sure it has with the fly keyword, so...
What doesn't fly in a
Fair enough.
vehicles?
Everything is infantry or flies, so... but yeah, you can go ahead and take that Hemlock, fly it right into my lines, and now you have that nice little 12 wound or 24 wound buffer because you got 2 of them that you can go ahead and move some of your characters up ahead of everybody else and still get those psychic powers off without having to worry about me shooting them because I got these two giant flyers that are closer than your character.
Yeah, like we said offline, the only downside is that he has only short range, 60 inches. That means he has to come close to my opponent army, which means he will most of the time be in range of all your guns. And even cultists with autogun, if they remove 1, 2, 3 wounds of him, that's a big deal. So I mean on the long run. So you have that, and also they are easily charged.
Yes.
By unit that fly, like for Chaos you have Demon Prince, Raptors. But Raptors not so much, but Demon Prince, Helldrakes, everything that can hit hard and piece by piece.
Yep. The thing that kind of sucks about trying to charge a Hemlock though is that your Overwatch automatically hits.
Yeah, and I fly, so if you don't finish me off,
you just gotta
I will continue to do my job.
Yep. So very, very cool. One of the other stratagems that are available to the Hemlocks as well as the Crimson Hunter is Cloud Strike. So if need be, you could go ahead and put it in Deep Strike.
Yeah, but they are so hard to remove in one turn that
there's not really much of a point.
Yeah, that way. And I have two, so
well,
you kill one, you have the second one will mess up with you.
Well, speaking of the Crimson Hunter Exarch, let's go ahead and talk about that guy. Lastly, in the Air Superiority detachment, we've got the Crimson Hunter Exarch. Now, this one also has a moving profile that degrades over time, so you go from 60 to 40 to 25 as normal. Weapon skill 6+. The ballistic skill on this guy also degrades, so you start at 2, then 3+, then 4+. Strength and toughness are 6, 12 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. Now, what weapons did you give the...
the basic loadout, that's been 2 bright lance and 1 pulse laser.
Alright. So your 2 Bright Lances are 36-inch range, heavy 1, strength 8, -4, d6 damage. Whoa! Whoa, that's scary. You got 2 of those, and you've also got a Pulse Laser, which is a 48-inch range, heavy 2, strength 8, -3, and just a static 3 damage.
Well, in some ways better than the d6.
It definitely can be, but you've also got that 1 lower AP, but it's probably not going to make that big of a difference when you're firing at certain things. Has the Wings of Cain, so again, has that 90 degrees before it moves, then 90 degrees after it moves.
So basically, it will stay in the deployment zone.
Yes.
Moving 20 inches on the right, next turn 20 inches on the left, and
very good. It has Crash and Burn, it has Hard to Hit, it has Sky Hunters, where you can reroll all failed wound rolls for this model when it targets any unit that can fly.
Yeah.
So you are kind of like an anti-flying flyer.
He's really, really good at killing those flyers.
You also have the Marksman's Eye, where you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for the model's ranged weapons, which are really, really good considering your Ballistic skill 2+.
Yes, only the Exarch has it, not the normal Crimson Hunter, but it costs only 15 points to get that.
That's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you are airborne, so this model can't be charged unless it's by something with a fly keyword. So, one thing to note really, really quickly here, though, which is kind of a little bit of a bummer for the Crimson Hunter Exarch, and I'm not sure if they've FAQ'd this or not, but it does have heavy weapons.
Yeah, and it doesn't ignore the -1.
No.
That's why he hit only on 3s. But come on, if he didn't have that, if he had the rule to ignore the penalty, he will hit on 2s.
Oh, everybody would use it. No. Maybe that's part of the reason why they gave him the 2+. So he's going to be hitting, just naturally hitting on 3s because he's going to start with a -1 from moving and firing a heavy weapon. But you still get to reroll those 1s, and then odds are with the strength 8 you're going to be wounding on 2s or 3s.
Yeah, 3+ rerolling 1s is basically the same chance, same stats than 2+. So
yeah. So essentially with this weapon it's always going to be 3s rerolling and 3s to wound rerolling, unless you're firing something that's toughness 4 or 3, which let's be honest, you're not going to be shooting these weapons at something that's
why I always use him over the normal Crimson Exarch when I can spare the Crimson Hunter. I mean, when I can spare the 15 points. Because of the reroll 1.
Gotcha.
So on start, change everything.
Alright. Now, again, this Solhan, is that the same that you have for them as well, or are they
No. Everything is same man, and it doesn't.
It won't
benefit because it's not biker.
Yeah, that's just what I was checking right there. So, all in all, basically this thing is going to be flying back and forth on one table edge, just firing a crazy amount of damage, dealing weapons at all my big stuff. And there's not a whole lot I can do about it because you are hard to hit. You can go ahead and fire off lightning reflexes if I target that, making him -2, and it's just going to be a pain to try and take down this essentially super last cannon flying, rerolling, destructive.
It's like a flying Predator, in fact.
So
it's Predator with wings.
Very, very cool. So we've gone ahead and covered the flyers. Go ahead and take a look now at your Is this the Outrider detachment?
Yeah.
All right, let's take out the Outrider. Starting off with the Outrider detachment, we're going to take a look at your 1 HQ choice for that. We've got the Autarch Skyrunner. Again, we're going back to the bike profile, so we're looking at a 16-inch move, weapon skill with skill 2+, strength 3, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and a 3+ save. This guy has Ancient Doom battle focus as well as Path of Command, which is a very, very cool ability that your Autarchs can have. It allows you to reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Craftworld units within 6 inches of its model. In addition, if your army is battle forged and this model is your warlord, which I believe you said he is, it makes it so that you roll a d6 each time you spend a command point using a stratagem. On a 6, the command point is immediately refunded. So that's really cool right there.
Now, you have to notice that it's if he is a warlord and on the battlefield. So
Yes.
it follows what all the FAQ Game Workshop did. That means now all these models that help you to recycling CPs have to be on the
They do have to be on the board. So take that, Imperial Guard players who hide their models in transports and declare it. Along with that, you've also got the Peerless Agility, where this model has a 4-up invulnerable save, and you also have Ride the Wind, which gives you that automatic 6-inch advance. The weapons that you went ahead and gave him, I believe you said you gave him the Laser Lance?
No, gave him the relic from Seyman.
you're right.
It's a special laser lance.
It's a Super Laser Lance.
Yeah, so basically, first of all, first question people could ask is why I bring him instead of the Autarch with wings that everybody see. First of all, I play Seyman, so
Yeah.
it has to be on the bike.
Yep.
But in fact, look, the Autarch with wings is 100 points. This guy is 104.
Oh,
So
geez.
only 4 points more for laser lens,
Better toughness,
better toughness,
Better
extra
save.
wounds.
extra wounds.
The
Yeah.
save is the same.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a 3+ all around and 5+.
Oh, he's a 4+ involved.
Yeah, and the other has a 4+ also.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay. I thought it was a
on
5.
save they are the same.
Yeah.
But also for game purpose, the how's it? The Autarch with wings is here just to be a beacon, you know, recycling CPs and reroll 1. But he can deep strike. But if you deep strike him, that's in the first CPs you will use, you cannot recycle them because it's not on the board. It gives you an extra drop that you have out of the board. So against some armies, it helps you to see to see better where your opponent will deploy. But I don't think it was the case. Where here it has a bigger base, so it play a little on the range of this reroll 1 bubble. But also is really good at countercharging deep striking units. Like for example, you put I don't know. For example, your obliterators, you deep strike them very close to my line. He can come and get them, especially with the war trait we'll discuss in a moment, which is essential to that tactic. So he's here to buff my line, but he can also punch hard if needed.
Yes. All right. Well, really quickly, just going over the relic. It's the Nova Lance of Samhan.
Yeah.
It just replaces your laser lance. It means that your shooting is range 12, assault 1, strength 6, -4, 2 damage.
So for that, just a quick detail. It's strength 12. Normally, laser lance are range. It's range 12, where laser lance normally are range 6. So it has exactly the same range than the Shuken Cable, which is handy.
And then in melee, your strength is +2, AP -4, 2 damage. But the ability for that is attacks with this weapon in the fight phase are treated at strength 8 if the bearer charged in the same turn. In addition, if the wound roll made for this weapon is a 6+, add 2 to the damage inflicted by this attack. So essentially, every 6 you roll is 4 damage.
Yeah, so that's very handy. After the strength 8, it's what a normal Shining Spear Exarch has with the Star Lance.
Yep.
But normally it's strength 8 when they charge and strength user afterward. Him, it's +2 strength, so it goes strength 5. Well, it's never good to stay in close combat for an Eldar, but when that's happened, at least you're not naked. You have strength 5, AP -4, 2 damage. Even a Space Marine character will think twice before staying in contact with you.
Yeah. And then the Warlord trait that you went with was that the Wild Rider Chieftain?
No, it's an eye on Distant Haven.
Oh, okay. So that was the enemy units cannot fire Overwatch at your Warlord.
Which is essential for that guy.
Yes.
Because even if he has 6 wounds, save 3+, 5+ invulnerable, he's only end toughness 4, he's an Eldar. So
yeah.
I cannot count how many times I lost him just because of Overwatch last cannon or something like that. Here, you get this warrior trait, no Overwatch. You know, he will get in combat and do his stuff.
Absolutely.
But after I repeat, he's not a frontline guy. He's not here to join the Shining Spears and go ahead, because we'll see Shining Spears go way faster than him, so he will stay alone in the middle of the battleground, which is not good. And also he's here mainly to buff. Yeah. But good players always have 1 or 2 units that can come on your side and mess up with you, and it's good to clear that.
Absolutely. And it's a good model to have just because you're going to be able to recycle those command points. If need be, he can kind of join the Shining Spears and use the Shining Spears as a nice bubble to keep him alive before he charges in. Does have the fly keyword, so your movement phase you're able to fall back and still shoot with him.
22 if you to put the bubble where you want, if you don't plan to charge.
You can't advance when you fall back though.
No, I mean
but yeah, when you do want to move
around.
I
can. For 2 CPs.
Oh yes, you're right, you can for command points. And again, you'd get those back on 6+.
Fine retreat, for 2 CPs I fall back and can still shoot and charge.
Yep, there you go.
I don't think I can advance, but I can still shoot and charge.
Yeah, the only thing I think in the game right now that allows you to advance when you fall back from combat is a Harlequin mask, and even that's not treated as advancing when you fall back. It's just
you're just extra D6.
So, alright, so there's your attack on Skyrunner. Next up, we're going to take a look at your... Well, you can pick. Do you want to do the Shining Spears?
Bikes, we will finish with the best one.
Alright, so we're going to take a look at your bikes. The Wind Riders. Like that fancy radio voice you got right there. Anyway, talking about these guys really quick, they are movement 16, weapon skill, blitz skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 2 wounds apiece, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a 4+ save. You went ahead and gave them all the scatter lasers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are going to be heavy 4 apiece, which is disgusting.
That's been 12 wounds in that squad we see on camera. Ugh. 12 shots. I mean.
Yep, and they are strength 6, AV nothing, 1 damage, but still just a ton of shots coming out of that unit right there. They do have Ancient Doom and Battle Focus, so they're able to advance and still fire their assault weapons. It is a heavy weapon, so you're not going to be able to ignore that. But you are
same man.
I'm going to mess up saying that, but yeah, you are that, so you get to ignore it anyway. And you also have the Ride the Wind ability, which allows you to advance an automatic 6 inches, so these guys move 22.
Yeah, so basically there are 2 ways to play the bikes now. If you don't, especially when you don't play same man, you just give them a shuriken cannon, only 24 inches instead of 36, and only 3 shots. Well, you have the trick on 6+2 wounds to get AP -3, but it's not something you can rely on. It's good, but you can rely on the Guardians we saw, because you put Doom on them and it's 40 shots. Here it will be 9 shots. You will not put Doom only for 9 shots and hope for 6s. But they can advance and still shoot without penalties, so they are fast, 22 inches. They are really good objective grabbers. With Sayman, you can give them another purpose, then thanks to the Sayman traits. That's when you give them a Scalar Laser, so it's 12 shots instead of 9, which give them a better anti-light infantry purpose, and they can move 16 with that.
Yep.
So they're a little slower for the shooting part, but they can still move 22 and give up their shooting to grab an objective. So overall, this unit, so in that army I have 2 units of 3, 1 unit of 4. Why 4? Because points. You have extra points, that's it. And they're really good, at killing light infantry, like objective grabbers, mostly. Cultists, guardmen, Noglins, all this kind of stuff that you don't want to have your heavy hitters shoot at them. So the bikes are here to deal with that. And they can hold the objectives afterward. I know people who used to play them on big squads of 6, because you can buff them easily. But me, I have other things that hit hard. Them, they are mostly here to take objective, board control, sometimes sacrifice themselves to be charged instead of my opponent charging something else. They're here for that.
So the nice trick with this is that, basically, the distance for shuriken cannons, which is what usually people would take because it gives them the assault 3, is you can go ahead and advance the automatic 6, which means that their shuriken cannon effective range is going to be 46 inches. Whereas if you were to do the scatter laser and just move your 16, you get the extra shot, and you actually have a moving range of 52 inches. So you've actually got more range with the non-advancing for those weapons, which is really, really nice right there. So.
Yeah, the fact that you cannot advance until shoot is only a downside when you want to move over a building or something, but it's situational.
It is. It's very situational. So, Wind Riders are very, very cool. They're definitely going to be able to be a pain for my army because they're going to be so stinking fast, and the 36-inch range is going to outrange a good chunk of my weapons.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to get around that. Plus,
in fact, in this army, in that army, everything moves fast except the Dark Reapers. So the main meaning here is that you cannot put a net around me and just make me suffocate. I can, if I see a hole somewhere, all my army will go through that, except the Dark Reapers that will stay all by themselves. But nah.
Yeah,
that's too good to just don't take.
Very true. So super, 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 super fast army. Finally, we're going to finish off with the piece de résistance. There you go. Just pull a little French.
Yeah.
There you go. The Shining Spears. Lastly, we have the Shining Spears. Now, the plethora of tricks that are available to this unit is ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is just kind of explain their stats, explain what they have, explain their abilities, and then I'm just going to let you talk about everything else that they can do because it's a little bit ridiculous. But Shining Spears, movement 16, web skill plus skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. Do you have an Exarch in that unit?
Yeah.
You do?
Just here.
Alright, so the Exarch's going to be the one with the big helmet right there. That's going to get an extra wound and an extra attack, which is quite nice.
And he has a Star Lance.
He has a Star Lance. Alright, so everybody else has the Laser Lance?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll talk about the Star Lance really quick. It's a 6-inch range, assault 1, strength 8, AP -4, 2 damage for shooting. And in melee, it is strength user -4, 2 damage. But in the turn in which the bearer charged, it's treated as strength 8, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Then you take a look at the Laser Lance. It's a assault 1, 6-inch range, strength 6, AP -4, 2 damage. And in melee, it's strength user -4, 2 damage. But on the turn that you charge, it is treated as strength 6. So really, really powerful attacks you got right there. Underneath, you've actually got the bikes themselves. They're rocking some twin shuriken catapults, which are range 12, assault 4, strength 4, AP nothing, but every wound roll of a 6+ is treated at AP -3. So just a ton of damage that these guys are able to put out. The abilities that we have are Ancient Doom, Battle Focus, Ride the Wind. Then we have a couple that we haven't seen before. We have Aerobatic Grace, where these models have a 4+ invulnerable save against ranged weapons. Ooh,
yeah.
So it's going to be a pain to shoot them down. And then we also have Expert Hunter, where you can re-roll wound rolls for a for a Shining Spear Exarch when attacking a monster or vehicle. So that is the stats for them. Go ahead, sir. Explain all the crazy tricks that you can do.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit down for this.
It's not a unit that is easy to master because it's the typical Eldar glass cannon unit. By the stat you see, they hit hard, really hard, but they can die quickly also. So they are a rocket for me. That means you throw them somewhere and they explode, doing maximum of damage. So first, unit size. That's for me the most tricky part because they have only 2 attack each. Okay, they have good shooting. When you arrive at 6 inches from opponent, you have the lance that shoot, you have the shuriken cannon, shuriken catapult that shoot, and there you're hoping for 6s because most of the time you will shoot at armored targets, so 6s help you to get some extra wounds. But they have only 2 attack each, 3 for the Exarch. So every guy in that unit has 2 hit and 2 wound. So on paper, I found out that the best size is 5 guys because you just have enough to kill everything you want. That's been they kill a predator in 1 turn. Everything that toughness up to toughness 7, 12 wounds on stat, they kill it. But you have to include the Overwatch and the previous shooting phase. So if you have 1 or 2 guys die before they charge, you will miss. You will not finish off what you charge and your opponent will just kill them. Because be sure of one thing, after they charge, next turn your opponent will slaughter them. You will never let them live. It's impossible. So there are several tricks to help them. First, there is the quicken psychic power on one of my warlock. That's allow them to move twice. So like you said, they move 16 plus 6 if they advance. Mm-hmm. So a maximum of 22 twice, so 44. Okay, but they advance. Normally you cannot charge. But Simon has a special stratagem called Warrior of the Raging Wing. For one CP, when you declare that unit advance, you use this stratagem, and this unit can still charge after they advance and reroll 1 to hit in the fight phase of that same turn. So it helps them to move 44, charge, and at the same time you have minus reroll 1 to hit, which is handy. But that's not finished yet. You have another thing interesting, which is Supreme Disdain. For one CP, in fact, you give them Death to the Fast Emperor. Every 6 to hit give you an extra attack. So help them to, especially if you lose 1 or 2 models before getting combat, you can compensate by the rolls. Here I will play against Slanesh. So first run of combat, I will reroll everything to hit, instead of only rerolling 1. And I have another stratagem, just specially for you, Quirk, with a great enemy. When I fight a Slanesh unit, I reroll to wound. That means you will get these guys that reroll to hit and 2 wounds, and move 44. It's not innocent that I use Harlequin jet bikes, I think.
Yeah,
they're very similar to what you used to do with Harlequins. That means you put them where, in fact, during the movement at the end of the psychic phase, you put them wherever you want on the board. Charge.
Yeah. So just to kind of go over all the crazy things adding up, what it's going to result in, you essentially have this unit that's going to be going 44 inches across the board, charging, re-rolling all to hits, re-rolling 1s to wound, and essentially destroying pretty much whatever you want, which is kind of gross right there. Some of the things that you could also do if you really wanted to is, while throwing all that stuff out, you could throw a protect out there so that they go from a 4-up invulnerable to a 3-up invulnerable save.
Yeah.
Which you definitely have available. You wouldn't have that available, but you can do that if you wanted to, because you are able to switch out your powers before determining everything. And so you're going to have these crazy units just coming in, wrecking my day, causing 2 damage. All of them are going to be treated at strength 8 and strength 6, so...
I say AP -4, so...
I ain't getting saved.
You have no save, except if you have Terminators, but you don't have save at all, because cover save doesn't work in combat.
So the only thing that I have right now that are invulns are my bigger guys, and their invulns are not the best, so...
Also, something I have to know is that why my usual opponents really want to kill them even after they charge and do the job. They don't want just to tie them up in combat, because there's a stratagem called Feign Retreat. For 2 CP, they can disengage and still shoot and charge. So that's why you cannot lock them.
No.
If you want to get rid of them, you have to kill them. That's the only solution. And they are 4+ invulnerable save, strength 4, 2 wound apiece. So need some firepower to kill them. It's not an easy job.
Definitely. Well, I think I might have a few things in my list that can probably deal with them, and we'll definitely check it out. But all in all, you have a very, very strong list, very fast list, super, super aggressive. Gonna play very well to the mission that we're playing, so we'll cover that after we take a look at my list. And all in all, I'm a little bit terrified. Your list is incredibly fast, whereas my list is not. So we'll see what happens. But first, let's go ahead and check out my Chaos Space Marines.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to take a look at my Chaos list. In this list, I have 1 Chaos Lord, 2 Demon Princes, 2 units of Obliterators, 3 units of 30 Cultists, which is kind of cool. I got 3 Decimators. Yeah, those are some models we haven't seen for a while. As well as a Helldrake. Now, the entire army is going to be the Alpha Legion, and the Chaos Mark that I'm going to pick for everybody is Slanesh. Now, I'm kind of regretting picking Slanesh because you get a ton of bonuses against me. And by a ton of bonuses, I mean when you charge, you get the free rerolls, but not much I can really do about that. Main reason I'm taking Alpha Legion is for the -1 to hit outside of 12 inches for all of my infantry, which is going to be very, very helpful. And on top of that, I get access to the Infiltrate ability for my Cultists, which... very, very good for getting 30 guys very, very far up the board that are going to be a bit of a pain to deal with. Also allows me the stratagem Endless Cacophony, so my Obliterators are going to get to fire twice in the shooting phase. And otherwise, that's pretty much it. I do get access to a psychic power for Slanesh, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to take it or not. Probably not.
Delightful Agony is always good.
Yeah, it gives me the extra, is it what, +1 strength, +1 attack?
No, Delightful Agony, it's 5 plus no pain.
Oh, right!
+1 strength, +1 attack
Right.
is demonic strength.
Yes, that's, demonic strength is the +2 strength, +1 attack, so. Yeah, so Delightful Agony helps keep a few things alive, but for the most part, I'm more just trying to get in your face.
On the Hell Drakes and the Decimators could be nice, but that means your Demon Prince have to stay close to them. Which is maybe not a good option.
Maybe not. I am going to go ahead and have my Chaos Lord and Demon Princes staying close to the guys that are going to shoot, like the Obliterators and the Decimators, to give them the reroll once they hit.
Why?
Because I do have that bubble. But enough about the army as a whole. Let's take a look at everything individually and see how they work together. Starting off, we're going to take a look at the Demon Prince, one of my warlords, or sorry, my HQ. Now, the HQ warlord trait that I'm going to be taking for them is going to be I am Alfarius. So it's going to be very difficult for you to get the Slay the Warlord trait. Kind of trying to stop you from taking that as one of your secondaries, which I don't think I really needed to worry about to begin with. But for the Demon Prince, I went ahead and gave it wings, so it now has the fly keyword as well as a move characteristic of 12 inches. Weapon skill is skill 2+, strength 7, toughness 6, 8 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 10, and a 3-up save. Also has Death to the False Emperor. Now this is an ability that most of my army is going to have, and I can't use because you do not have the Imperium keyword. So not even going to bother getting into that. But it is demonic, so he has a 5+ invulnerable save. The Demonic Allegiance allows me to take one of my Chaos Gods. I'm going to be taking Slanesh, so I'm going to get access to the Slanesh powers. I'm also a Prince of Chaos, so I can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Legion units within 6 inches of him. And it also affects friendly demon units within 6 inches, but only if the same allegiance as myself. I have no other demon units in this army, so it's basically just going to be affecting everyone with the Alpha Legion keyword, which is my entire army. Lastly, it has the Might over Magic, which isn't going to come in, but if I was to make him a Khorne Demon Prince, I would get an extra attack, so it's kind of helpful right there. The weapons that I have a, I believe it's the Hellforged Sword is the one that I took for him. So it's going to be Strength User, AP -2, and 3 damage apiece, which is really, really helpful. And then for the powers, I'm allowed to take 1 Psychic Power, and the first one I'm going to take for the Pink Demon Prince is going to be, let's make it Prescience. So if manifested, I select a Heretic Astartes unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, and I add 1 to all hit rolls made for that unit until the start of the next Psychic phase. It's going to come in handy if I get that spell off on a unit of Obliterators, because that means all their shots are going to be hitting on 2s, and if I'm within 6 inches, it's going to be hitting on 2s re-rolling. So very, very helpful to have that right there.
Would be a good way to compensate the -1 to hit on my flyers.
It definitely would. So that would mean that even if I'm shooting at your flyers, I'm still hitting on 3s, unless you trigger lightning reflexes, in which case I'm hitting on 4s.
But that forced me to spend 2 CPs.
Yes,
so.
And that would be very, very helpful for me to kind of force you to do that. As for everything else, I'm not going to take any relics because I am playing it out of the Chaos Space Marines book, so I'm not going to have access to any of the really kind of cool relics. I mean, I could take the Intoxicating Elixir, which gives me +1 strength and attacks.
Yeah, that's good.
That might be what I take. You know what? Yeah, just for him, I'm going to go ahead and take the Intoxicating Elixir. So now he's going to have 5 attacks, and he's going to be strength 7. So very, very helpful right there. I have 1 other Demon Prince in this list, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this one has Delightful Agonies, which is the Mark of Slanesh power. So casting value of 6, select a visible Slanesh Heretic Astartes unit within 18 inches, and until the start of the next the next Psychic phase, Hero phase, not Aegis Sigmar, that unit has a 5+2 Ignore Wounds. So very, very helpful right there. Moving on from the Demon Princes, let's take a look at the Chaos Lord. Next up we have the Chaos Lord. Now the main reason I'm bringing this guy is just so that I can kind of get the full use out of I am Alfarius, which allows me to change my Warlord as they die. The Chaos Lord has a movement value of 6, weapon skill plus skill 2+, strength and toughness 4, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 3, and a 3+ armor save. Went ahead and gave this guy a bolt pistol and a chain sword, even though it's represented different on the model. There is going to be some Mark of Dave right there. He has the Lord of Chaos ability. So Lord of Chaos, where I can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Legion units within 6 inches of the model. So friendly Alpha Legion. Again, another 6-inch bubble of rerolling. Definitely helpful right there. And then I have a Sigil of Corruption, which gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. The model does have access to a jump pack. I'm not going to give that to him, even though it could give me the extra movement and the fly keyword. It just kind of puts me over points if I was to do that, so I'm not going to take that ability right there. But that's going to be it for my HQs. Now, One thing to note for my psychic powers and stuff like that, I do have access to the stratagem, the Chaos Familiar, so I can switch them out every turn. It does give me a little bit more flexibility with my powers if I need them, but I think for the most part right now I should be okay. We'll kind of see what happens as the game progresses. Moving on from my HQs, let's talk about the troops. I've got some Chaos Cultists, and by some I mean a lot of Chaos Cultists. These guys have a movement value of 6, weapon skill, bliss skill 4+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 5, and a 6+ save. That's a little bit worrisome, but when you consider the fact that this entire unit cost me, I think, 160 points, 180 points, something like that, I'm not too worried.
120 is 40 for 10.
Yeah, so it would have been...
180.
Yeah,
120.
120, there we go. It was 120 points for 30 of them, which is not bad at all. They are Alpha Legion, which is going to give me the ability to do the stratagem that allows me to deep strike onto the board, or not deep strike, infiltrate onto the board. So they work the exact same way as your Rangers,
Yeah.
which is quite nice right there. And that stratagem is called something, hang on, I got it right here, Forward Operatives. So again, for 1 command point, you can go ahead and put them into Forward Operatives, which is nice. All of them are going to be equipped with the shooting weapons, which are their bolt guns. So 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. So if I get within 12 inches of you, that means it's going to be 60 shots coming at you, hitting on 3s, strength 4, so wounding on 3s against your infantry, wounding on 4s against your bikes, which is helpful right there. It's going to be just a volume of attacks that they're going to be going by. This is one of the units that I do want to go ahead and put the the Slaanesh power on, so they have that 5 up to ignore wounds. So even though they have a 6 up save normally, they're hitting on 4s. 6 up save normally, they, oh sorry, I was looking at the wrong profile there. 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 3, not strength 4, my mistake. So they'll be hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s, wounding on 5s against your bikes. But that 6 up save is not something I can really rely on, especially if you happen to catch some of those 6s. But since all of your stuff really only does 1 damage until you get to some of the bigger guns, I'm able to rely on that 5 up to keep a lot of these guys alive thanks to that spell.
Combined with the -1 to hit you have because you're Alpha Legion.
Yes, so they're going to get that -1 as well because they are, in fact, Alpha Legion. So
Yeah.
very annoying unit to deal with. I'm probably going to infiltrate them within 9 inches of you, so you'll be ignoring that for the first little while. Then you're fast enough that you can probably jump over them, but they're still going to be a pain.
I will have to deal with them in one time or another.
Absolutely. So, Chaos Cultists, here to do stuff. Moving on, we're going to go into some elites here. We've got my Chaos Decimator. Now, I brought 3 of them, and there's definitely going to be some Mark of Dave. But the Chaos Decimator has a movement value of 10, weapon skill, bliss skill 3+, strength and toughness 7, 8 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. The weapon that I'm going to be giving all of them are going to be 2 Soul Burner Petards, which are 24-inch range, assault 2d3, strength nothing, AP nothing, 1 damage. But each successful hit roll made with this weapon inflicts a mortal wound instead of normal damage. If a roll of 1 is made for the firing, then I do suffer a mortal wound, but it can only occur once per phase. So in an entire shooting phase, I'm only able to suffer 1 mortal wound and possibly again in Overwatch. But the fact that I've got 2 of them means that they're going to be firing 4d3 shots, hitting on 3s. Every hit is a mortal wound, which is amazing because I got 3 of them that are going to be doing this. They are a Demon Engine, which gives them a 5+ invulnerable save. It has Infernal Regeneration, so at the beginning of each of my turns, this model will heal a wound. It does explode, and it explodes on a roll of 6. Everything within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. And if this model is equipped with 2 melee weapons, it gains an extra attack. I didn't equip it with 2 melee weapons. It is equipped with 2 ranged weapons at 24 inches. So effective range for this guy is 34 inches because it can move and fire. It is assault, so if I want to, I could advance and fire. But that means I'm going to be suffering the -1, which I'm not 100% sure I really want to do. So it does have the Mark of Chaos keyword and the Legion keyword, so it's going to get the Alpha Legion ability as well as the Slaanesh ability. So if need be, I could go ahead and make it fire again, thanks to the Endless Cacophony. Oh wait, no, I can't.
No,
it is not infantry. I can't do that.
It's infantry.
But it is going to take the -1 to hit because it is Alpha Legion. So very, very cool right there. Really happy about these models. Kind of curious to see how well they work. I have faced them before. I had to face somebody who brought 4 of them, and they single-handedly cut through half my army. So I'm a little bit worried.
What were you playing at that time?
I was playing Harlequins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had -1 and -2 all over the board, and he still managed to cut through everything.
And it doesn't care about your invulnerable saves.
No, it's just straight up mortal wounds, so invulnerable saves do not mean squat to these guys. It's kind of awesome. Now we've got one of my flyers, actually my only flyer. Well, no, I guess my Demon Princes have the fly keywords, they would count as well. But we got the Helldrake. This model has a degrading profile, so he has a movement value of 30 inches. That degrades down to 20 and then 10. Weapon skill of 3+, which degrades to 4+ and 5+, and the attacks will go from 4 to 3 to 2 as it slowly degrades. Ballistic skill is 4+, strength and toughness 7, 12 wounds, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. Went ahead and gave this wonderful little model a Bale Flamer. So that is a 18-inch range, assault d6, strength 6, -2, 2 damage apiece, but it automatically hits.
Really good against my guy.
Makes me very excited. It is demonic, so it has a 5+ invulnerable save. It has infernal regeneration, so it gains a wound back at the beginning of each of my turns, and it can crash and burn. So when it's reduced to 0 wounds, I roll a d6 on a 6. It can blow up where everybody within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. It does have the Legion keyword, and it does have the Mark of Chaos keyword, so I will be able to use some of the stratagems, and I am definitely going to get that -1 to hit outside of 12. What's nice about this is that it's a flyer that doesn't have a minimum movement distance, so I can kind of pivot around and dance around your lines a little bit without having to worry about pivoting or moving or falling off the board, which is really, really helpful for a Helldrake. The only downside is that it is technically a flyer, so if it's the only model remaining, I am technically tabled. Also, I can't hold objectives with this, so...
The good thing also is that he has a specific stratagem, Demon Forge.
That's right, I forgot about that one.
Which is really good. It's reroll 2 hit and 2 wound, I think.
I believe that's what it is, but I suffer damage at the end of it, don't I?
Possibly.
Nope. Use a stratagem in your shooting, or it's 1 command point. Use it in your shooting or fight phase. When a Chaos Space Marine Demon vehicle is chosen to attack, you can reroll all failed hit and wound rolls for that model until the end of the phase.
So in close combat, he's really good. For 1 CP, makes him pretty reliable.
Very scary. So that's kind of awesome right there. Plus with that 30-inch move, he can just fly across the board and charge whatever he wants.
Yeah, the Drake basically it's really an annoying piece for your opponent because he will lock in combat whatever you want every turn.
Absolutely. Alright, that's it for the Helldrake. I got one more unit left, and then we can talk about the actual rules themselves. The last unit that I want to talk about in my army is the Obliterators. They are the heavy support choice. They have a 4-inch move, weapon skill, ballistic skill of 3+, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds apiece, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 2+ armor save. They have the flesh metal guns. Now these things are awesome. They are 24-inch range, assault 4, strength 6 + D3, AP is D3, and the damage is D3. Now the flesh metal guns work where when the unit is chosen to shoot in the shooting phase or in Overwatch, I roll 3d3, one after the other. The first roll is added to the strength 6, the second one is made for its AP, and the third one is the damage that it can put out. So this thing has the potential of being strength 9, AP -3, and 3 damage apiece with 4 shots. That's going to rip through something if I'm able to get that off. Minimum I could get is strength 7, -1 AP, and 1 damage. Still a very good profile.
2 autocannon per guy.
Yeah. It's pretty good. They have a 5 invulnerable save because they're demonic, and they have teleport strike, where during deployment I can go ahead and set them up in the teleportation chamber so they can deep strike onto the board. Very, very cool right there, but the one thing I have to keep in mind is the power levels are a big factor in this. So with them, they are power 10. So if I was to put both my units, I am bringing 2, that means 20 power is going into the deep strike reserve. So I'm going to have to accommodate that when I include that, plus the cultists and everything else. So it might be a little bit tricky to make sure that I do have at least half my power level on the board, but I should be okay right there. That's my list in its entirety. The whole kind of idea here is that it's a very shooty list with rerolls all over the place and a screen of cultists to kind of keep you away from all the guys that are going to be shooting and trying to wreck your day. The main thing that's going to happen is I'm trying to play to the mission, to the mission itself. Now we get 2 options when we play this mission. We're either able to play the long game, where at the end of the game, whatever we're holding is what we score for points, or we can play between turns 2 and turn 6, where every objective we're holding at the end of our turn will score certain points. So it's kind of going to depend on how I'm feeling, which way I want to play that. I'm not sure how you're going to play it, but we'll figure that out. And then on top of that, I have to play to my secondaries. Now, since I'm running a very shooting-heavy list, I'm probably going to be taking a lot of the shoot down your big things. So I'm going to be taking First Strike, which is kill a unit in the first turn. That'll score me 2 points. I'm also going to go for Big Game Hunter, where I need to kill your most expensive model, which I believe are either your Crimson Hunter or your Hemlocks.
The most expensive is Crimson Hunter. No, Hemlocks.
It is the Hemlocks, okay. So if I kill one of those Hemlocks, then that's going to score me 2 points. And the last one that I'm going to take is Marked for Death, where I get to pick a unit, and if I kill it, I score 2 points, which I'm going to be taking your Guardians because I know your plan for them is to get them rather close so that they're able to do everything. I know you're going to have buffs all over the place, but I'm fairly confident that the Decimators are going to be able to jump right through that with their mortal wounds. So that is my hope for them. And then on top of that, we have the tertiaries as well, where we have to kill something every turn, and we get a maximum of 4 points at that one. So.
Yeah, on my side, I took first strike also to destroy unit on the first turn because with all the firepower I have, and you have some small model count unit like the decimators that can at least kill one on the first turn. After, obviously, I took kill the horde, destroy at least 60 models.
Yep. So if you wipe out 2 of the units of cultists, there you go.
On 6 turns, I would definitely get it.
Yeah, you'll definitely get it.
And it was a little tricky for the last one because kill a big model or kill 5 model that was more than 100 points. You have some very expensive models, but they all have 5 invulnerable save, which can quickly mess up the stats. So I was not very confident in that. So instead, I chose the line breaker. And at the end of the game, I need at least one of my units within your deployment zone.
Yep.
And it cannot be my flyers. So because they cannot hold objectives.
That's true.
So it would be mostly my rangers or bikes.
And for you, if you're going to infiltrate your rangers into my lines, there's a good chance I'm probably going to ignore them because it's a 60-point unit that might do a bit of damage, whereas I have more prominent targets on the board that I'm going to need to deal with. So it's going to be very interesting. Have you decided if you're going to be playing the end game or are you going to be playing turns 2 to turn 6?
Normally with Eldars it will be more the turn 2 to turn 6 because Eldars are really efficient on the first half of the game.
Yes.
At the end, if the game went very well, so I can score objectives, but most of the time I just secure the situation to be sure I will not be tabled. So my tactic will be to score as much as possible during the 3 first turns and after just survive the rest.
Absolutely. So the way the first mission that we're going to be playing works, it's Crusade. Our deployment is either Dawn of War or Frontline Assault, so either the 12-inch deployment zone or the crooked 12-inch deployment zone. We play 6 objectives all over the table following the guidelines where 4 objectives have to be 24 inches from the short table edge and 12 inch from the long table edge, and the 2 objectives have to be 12 inch from each other. It is essentially, we'll show you when we get to the vault video where they're designed to be. But we have 2 different versions of the mission. The one is you accumulate 2 points for each objective you control at the end of the game. And if you control more objectives than your opponent at the end of the game, you gain an additional point. So the only way you'd actually be able to get maximum points on that one is by holding 4 objectives. So if at the end of the game you're holding 4 objectives, you will get your 9-point maximum for your primaries. The other option you can do is between turns 2 and 6, you score 1 point if you control at least 2 objectives. If you control 1 more objective than your opponent, you score an additional point. And if you control 2 or more objectives, you score an additional point. So you could theoretically score them in 3 turns by holding, basically by holding 2 objectives if your opponent didn't hold any. And you could score all your points right there. Now keep in mind, primaries do max out at 9 points, which we'll be keeping track of in the vault video. Secondaries max out at 6 points, and your tertiaries max out at 4 points. So a perfect game is 19 points in the Nova Open 2007 edition. So that's going to be it for the Army Showcase, talking about the mission. We're going to jump into the vault right now and set up the table, get everything ready to go, and play the mission. We're going to be setting up the table to follow the Nova Open's tournament terrain loadout, so you're going to be able to see how that's done. There is a specific way to do the terrain, and as well you're going to get to see where the objectives are. Now is basically the time to start placing your bets, everybody. Who do you think is going to win? Like, we've got this crazy fast Eldar army that hits really hard, and then we're going up against a Chaos army that also hits very hard, but just has bodies for days. So it's not going to be too big of a deal for them to lose all the bodies. It's more of a question of whether or not they're going to be able to get past your modifiers to hit. So let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win, and to find out the answer, jump on into the vault. If you're not already a vault member, you can go ahead and click that link below. It'll give you access to a 7-day free trial where you can see this battle report, as well as all the extra videos that we have in the vault, like painted tutorials, behind the scenes, open vaults, extra battle reports. We have a slew of battle reports and painted tutorials that you can check out there. So, guys, we will see you in the vault. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy wargaming.